Hello guys and welcome back. Today we're going to be running my newest ported chainsaw, but it is also the oldest chainsaw I've got. So let me show you what I got here. Alright guys, so I got a Stihl MS 461. Now I bought this saw about a month ago. Well, it was probably 2 months ago now, from my favorite used chainsaw dealer in Indiana, my friend Aaron. So Aaron bought this 461. I think he bought it in like May or June, shortly after we visited 309 Machine. And he had it, I guess, and he thought I needed it more than he did. So I bought it from him, and he's had one before, and I think like 2 years ago he bought one, and we ran him. It was all stock. We ran the other one versus the other saws, and we liked it. We had no problems with it. I guess, I don't know. I don't know why. I guess it didn't go further at that point, but he ended up selling that saw. But I think both of us have always been really interested in these 461s. Now this Stihl 461, they stopped making them in 2019. I think this model ran from 2013 to 2019, and it's 76 cc's. So this was kind of the predecessor to the 500i. The 500i is 79 cc's. So between 13 and 16, I think you could get a 441 or, and that was the 70 cc saw, and then the 461. You don't really see too many of these being ran on YouTube. And I think that's just because YouTube and firewood, like the people that are making YouTube firewood videos, it's still like in its infancy. I think YouTube firewood got really popular around 2020, and these saws were already gone. So people that started firewooding in like 2020, this wasn't an option to buy. So that's why you see more of the 500i's, the 462s, the 400s. That's like super popular. But for the people that have been sawing for a long time, especially if you were, big into firewood or big into trees, a 461. And I think that prior to the 500i and the 592, this was like a gold standard in tree cutting. Whether you're an arborist or you're felling every day, these are still super popular on the West Coast, and they're still, I guess, highly sought after. If you're like into this thing, if you just want a new saw that's M-tronic, that's not saying these aren't simple. You understand what I'm saying. But anyways, so I bought this one from Aaron, and I sent it out to California and had Jeff from Leave Nothing Stock. He ported this one for me, and I've had Leave Nothing Stock saws before. My 572 is done by Leave Nothing Stock, and he's a really good porter. I think 309 Machine is also porting these saws as well, because there is still a demand for these saws on the West Coast, so he offers porting for them. A lot of other people offer porting for them. I just chose to use Jeff because I feel like he's really good with these and has a lot of experience with them, and I just wanted another saw with him. I've already got 2 309 Machine saws. I only got one Leave Nothing Stock saw. I got one Dino Joe saw, so maybe my next saw that I get ported will be done by Dino Joe, so I can have like 2 of each. But anyways, we are going to run this saw. I've got some big hickory logs that I'm going to cut with this, and then before I sent this to get ported, I did a test cut on it just to see what it would do stock. So before we start anything, I'm going to run it in that same log. I've got it sitting by itself. We'll see the improvements of it. I won't know the improvements of it because I don't remember what that time was, but I'll video it and you'll see it, and then we'll go put it in some wood. This saw showed up just as I was finishing cutting last week, so I've done a few cuts with it, but I haven't really ran it, so I'm pretty excited to run it. I got a 25-inch bar on this steel chain, full comp obviously. Let's get out there, enough talking. I'll see you. Alright, so I got all these hickory logs. This is what I'll be cutting. I'm going to mark them out with the perfect stick and then get to ripping on it. All right, guys, I got the first tank of gas through the 461. I'm cutting big shagbark hickory. A lot of this stuff is burying the bar on, some of it's smaller. But initial thoughts on this saw is, whenever I was buried in that 28 inch wood, I was cutting and I'm like, well, this stuff's going pretty good, but I don't cut a lot of that big stuff, so I don't have a good feel for it. And at first I was like, I don't know about this saw. Like, it's going good, but I don't know, it doesn't seem that great. And then I got in some of the more manageable stuff, like the 20 inch stuff, the 22 inch stuff, some of the 18, and it freaking flies through it. So I don't have a perspective on the bigger stuff of how quick it goes through it, because I just don't cut that all the time like with my other saws. So yeah, the thing's running good. Like this stuff here that I would typically cut for firewood, that 18 inch stuff, it walks right through it. And even the big stuff, it's burying the bar and it's chewing right along. So overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I will say one thing that I noticed, and I don't know if it's just in my head, but this older generation of Stihl, they've definitely vibrate a little bit more than the newer generation. And I don't think it's just like the chain, the way I have the chain sharpened. I feel it in the handle, like the rear handle, it just feels a little bit more vibrations. But nonetheless, it's not like I'm running a freaking 2005 Poulin or something that'll shake your arm off. It's not bad. It's just something I noticed right off the bat. So I'm going to fuel this saw back up, and a lot of these logs I need to roll with the mini excavator so I can cut the other half of them. And I'm going to do that, and then I'll get you set up and we'll cut that pile of logs. Alright, so I just finished up. I got all of this stuff here cut, and all of it is, I would say the smallest log I cut was probably 18 inches, and most of it was 25 plus. A lot of it was at least 23 plus, and there was quite a few that was 25 plus, but the 461 did really good. I did go through about 2.5 tanks of fuel. It seemed like it drank fuel a little bit, but I mean, at the same time, all of this wood is sink your bar in and let it run at like 100% load for a good minute. So I guess I'm not surprised that I'm blowing through fuel, because this is big wood. I don't know how much is here. I would guess at least 2 cords. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, at least 2 cords, probably 7 or 8 ricks. Just because it's so big, it doesn't look like a lot, but these big rounds, like I think my buddy Jack, Log Cabin Firewood, he did a big round that was, it was a little bit bigger than that, but it was just one log, and that got him a whole face quarter a rick. So yeah, there's a lot here. What I'm going to do with all of this stuff is I'm going to stack it all together, and then I'll bring out my mini skid steer and log splitter, and I'll set a few of them, split them, and then put it all in a split pile. But all of this stuff, being that it's hickory and it is you know, big stuff, that is like way too heavy for me to handle. So I'll quarter it all down with the mini splitter, and get it all put together. But overall, like I said before, the saw did wonderful. I'm very pleased with it. I would get another one. So this saw, I did forget to mention, it does have a bark box on it and the West Coast Shorty dogs. As I was cutting, I kind of thought about this. Like if you were in the market for a saw, and the 500i is obviously the most popular saw, and everybody wants a 500i, and they're good saws for sure, but they're super expensive. They're like 1,600 bucks right now. If you wanted a good used saw and you can find one of these 461s, usually you can pick them up between 500 and 1,000 bucks. 1,000 bucks for a nice clean one, and 500 bucks for maybe one that's beat up or somebody that doesn't know what they have. I've seen, and I should have bought them when I saw them, but I've seen several for 600-700 bucks that looked really nice, just as nice as this one. So they're getting harder to find, but this saw is definitely a revered saw for a good reason. But to the 500i comment, I think this saw is right there with the stock 500i. It's the same weight. I've weighed them. This one is like a pound heavier than a 462, but it's the same weight as a 572 or a 500i, so it's not like you're carrying around a brick. And for the crowd that hates electronics, and they always tell me I don't want any of your M-tronic saws because I like just regular adjustable carburetor stuff, it's regular adjustable carburetor. So for if you can find one for half the price of a 500i, I enjoy running this saw just as much as a 500i, if I'm being honest. So that'll do it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and you need to come back for more. There'll be more 461 content, and there will be a lot of skid steer splitting up on this. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. You guys have a good one. Bye.